When is the FOing going to stop? The answer is never. It's never going to stop. The FOing is never going to stop. See, they FA'd. And now the FOing continues. I'm going to start today the show, which I typically don't do. I ease you into the FOing because there's so much FOing. I don't want to overload and redline your FOing tachometer. I just don't want to do it. But because it's a Thursday and I'm feeling particularly good today, Evita's show had a tremendous audience. I made a little guest appearance for those of you who want to watch. What is it? Bongino Report? rumble.com/Bongino Report. You can watch Evita's show. Rumble.com/Evita. Check that show out. You're going to love it. I made a little guest appearance. She went late today, and I was like, they're still here, so I might as well come on the show. I am in a mood today. The FOing is just glorious. I got that. And another one of those segments where if you're here on the Dan Bongino show, you are, again, at least a week ahead of the news cycle. I will prove it to you right in the beginning of the show where even the Bongino Army language is now being stolen. I mean, the exact words. Today's show is sponsored by Beam. Get some sleep. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your first order. Today's show is also brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Listen, we won the election, but the fight to restore this amazing nation is only beginning. Now's the time to take a stand in that parallel economy and support companies that support us. Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile offers a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience. Patriot Mobile isn't just about providing exceptional cell phone service. It's a call to action to defend our rights and our freedoms. With Patriot Mobile, you'll get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all three major networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee. But the difference is this. Every dollar you spend with Patriot Mobile supports a company that believes in the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. Switching's easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer support team will help you find the perfect plan. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT and get a free month of service with promo code Dan. Switch to Patriot Mobile today. Defend freedom with every call and text you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. All right, fellas, let's go. We got a lot to talk about. Let's just start right off the bat, right out of the gate, like those little dog races they have down here in Florida. Boom, chasing a rabbit. Let's go with some FOing right away. Here is our amazing Attorney General, Madam Pam Bondi, Madam Attorney General. She had a couple of words for Twinkies and Letitia James up in New York who have used their power indiscriminately to weaponize government and target their political opponents. This is not going well for them. This is not going well, and it's just begun. Check this out.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You see what happens? This is what happens when you take that boulder at the top of the hill and you push it downhill and trade your potential energy for kinetic energy. What winds up happening is you get run over by it too. So the Democrats thought it would be a good idea to weaponize the mechanics of government, the state, federal, and local level to target Donald Trump. Now, the Attorney General, thankfully, isn't doing that. The Attorney General is just enforcing the law. The Democrats, of course, will say this is weaponizing government as they FO, and believe me, they're FOing. But we have rules. We have rules. We have a border. That border says you can't enter this country unless you go through that port of entry. If you break those rules, you are here, what? Chatsters, illegally. Yes, you are an alien to the country who is here illegally, making you an illegal alien. if you harbor those illegal aliens or do anything to obstruct justice, you may have some civil or potentially criminal liability. You see how the left doesn't like that? The difference is they target us for fake crimes that don't exist, like fictitious Trump bank fraud cases where there's no actual victim and the bank wants to do more business with Trump. And yet we target them for actual crimes they commit where they break the law and they get really upset. Go, well, weaponized government. The FOing continued. I got way too much FOing. Thank you, Madam Attorney General. We appreciate it. Right out of the chute, getting started. It's not going to stop. The FOing boulders running down the hill right now. Wall Street Journal judge lifts the freeze on Trump's buyout plan for federal workers. Judge Bongino was right again. What did I tell you guys about the judge stuff and the legal cases? Your boy Dan, right? I'm just a little part of this Bongino army. I'm not the general. I don't want to be the general. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in being one of you. I'm not trying to be anything special. But I'm not going to waste your freaking time. I just told you the other day, don't lose your marbles over these legal cases. The left sues about everything all the time. It's why they love to stack the bench with liberal judges. Happens all the time. I told you we're going to win some and we're going to lose some. But the bottom line is it's asymmetric warfare and asymmetric benefiting us. For liberals, that means a lack of symmetry, meaning one side is greater than the other. Why? Because the federal government is doing federal government stuff, which they're paid to do. President Trump is paid as the commander-in-chief and the chief of the executive branch to execute. That's what he's doing. You're paying him. It's no sweat off his back. The left-wing organizations suing in every courtroom in America are wasting time and money. Even if they win 2 out of every 100 cases, we won 98. And Donald Trump is going to be more powerful in the end and be able to finally execute the role of the chief executive. I get it, folks. The left pisses a lot of people off with their legal warfare. But there is an upside to it. There is an upside to it. They are going to lose a significant number of these cases, and they're going to be iced out from pursuing that same legal avenue again. They're wasting a lot of time, folks. Here it is again, too. What has 2 thumbs that doesn't waste your time? This guy. Wait, sorry. What has no thumbs and always waste your time? I have no thumbs but a big head, and I waste your freaking time all the time. Your boy's Fugazi. I don't waste your time. When the Trump Gaza thing happened, Guy, what was it, a week ago now? It's like Trump is in like dog years, don't you? Right, folks? Am I crazy? Folks in the chat, yes or no? Bongino on the case. Yes or no? Trump's operating in political dog years, right? He does so much so fast. He does something a week ago. Feels like 7 years ago. Right. Big shout out there to Fugazi in the chat, the infamous 8-8 guy. And they lowered flags to half-mast. Nobody's really talking about it. Because we're not crazy like you, bro. That's why. Trump is operating in political dog years. The Gaza thing was like a week and a half ago. It feels like it was 10 years ago. What did I tell you guys last week? This is not a self-celebratory moment. I want you to see how the media... When I say things to you like we're the media now and they follow us, some people still go, I don't know. Really? Okay. What was the word I used last week when Trump came out and he said, hey, the United States is going to have a role in Gaza, and the whole world flipped out. And I told you the press is overreacting and they're going to look like buffoons. They're hyperventilating, and watch. I said Trump stakes out the maximalist position every single time. He does it as a debating point because he wants people shaken up and he wants people to fix the problem on their own. And if they can't, Big Daddy comes in and does it for them. Look at this. Axios, February 13th. I believe that's today, although I could be wrong on the date. It's not Friday the 13th. It's Thursday. Masculine maximalism. I'm not telling you like this. We didn't make up the word. But it kind of sounds like something we said a week ago. Let me keep this up for a second. Did we not have this conversation, fellas? Yes, we did. They say Trump and Musk believe powerfully in maximalist action and language. What is it? That was like the show we did a week and a half ago, right? I mean, using the like exact word and stuff. But notice how typical left-wingers at Axios, notice how they have to inject a race angle. For Gaza? Yes. Let me read on. Trump and Musk believe powerfully in maximalist action and language, carried out by strong but mostly white men as blunt, uncompromising instruments to prove new limits both to power and what's possible. Oh, my gosh. Axios, can you just footnote us, please? Can you just at least provide a link to the show? Just as a courtesy? Just as a courtesy? You know what I'm saying, bro? As a courtesy? And then what else did we say last week? Why are we doing this segment? We are the media now. We are the media now. Group hug. Group Bongino hug. Everybody in the chat. Here, my phone. Everybody in the chat. See, I'm watching you guys on my phone right now. Everybody in the chat. Group hug. Sometimes the chat goes so fast I got to scroll down. I think I missed some stuff. Who said it? John DeSalvo in the chat. We are the media. You're damn right we are. We are the media now. Big ass group hug for everyone. Hug, bro. Who just said that? Hug. Pleasing McGroin. I hope you're pleasing it. Please, but yes. And then they note in Axios, again, exactly what we said last week, that Trump takes the maximalist position because he plays the media like a fiddle, knowing they will overreact to his maximalist position. Look at this. Axios a week later. Just footnote us, guys, one time, maybe an end note. Both men like to provoke outrage and outrageous responses. That makes Trump and Musk the center of the national conversation and baits hyperventilating critics into outrageous responses. Anybody know what I call that? The show your theory. Show your what? It's the Dan Bongino show your ass theory. Take a maximalist position you may or may not mean. Watch the media hyperventilate. Watch more media people watch the hyperventilation and hyperventilate even more so you don't lose your subscribers and satisfy your crazy audience and keep showing your ass to people, which they don't want to see. Thank you. The media, governments, what would you say? Jordan, Colombia, now the Saudis. Oh, just as like other governments, that's such a beautiful segue. It's like he knew what was coming next. What did I tell you? Donald Trump is not going to occupy Gaza with the military. He's implying that because people in the region don't want to get off their ass and actually fix Gaza, which has been a problem for like 7,000 years. And no one wants to do shit. So Donald Trump comes in and goes, hey, we're going to take over Gaza. Everybody goes, oh my gosh, heads are on fire. People are pissing in their diapers. Everybody goes crazy. And then what comes out a couple days later? Look at that. Oh my gosh, this is insane. Arab states wake up to the fact that Trump means what he says on Gaza. Look at this, Justin. So nuts. Egypt, guys, has actually launched a diplomatic blitz to corral support for an Arab-led initiative to rebuild the Gaza Strip. Show's over. Joe, what's the point of the show? You knew this a week ago.
You just heard the...
What's the point? What's the point of the show? What's the point of doing the show? What is this? Oh, look how great we... What did I tell you last week? Do you remember the words we used last week? He's trying to get the partners in the region to do something. It's almost like we were in Trump's head because now partners in the region are doing something. It's not blackout today. Today it's just water. I'm too wired up already. I may blackout. I may just teeter over on the desk. I had it this morning, man. Seriously, brothers and sisters. You know I love you guys, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the coming weeks, okay? Hang with me. I'm never going to steer you wrong. Do not get baited into the hyperventilating, ridiculous responses these left-wing media lunatics are. The reason we are the media now is precisely because we don't do that. We make accurate, fact-based predictions about what Trump is going to do based on what he's done in the past. We describe his strategy, and we are weeks ahead of the game. All right, moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, what's old is new again. Whereas you and I in this army, it's MAGA army, it's Bongino army out there, whereas you and I, we used to have this expression in the Secret Service called lift and shift. You know, something changes at a site, you don't have time to whine about it. Well, the protectee said he was going to go left and he went right. Well, freaking fix it. You know, it doesn't matter. You can't get him shot in the head because he took a wrong turn, okay? Lift and shift. The difference with the MAGA crowd is we are very good at adopting to media conspiracy theories and general scumbaggery. We're just good at it. That's why we're the media now. The media is not. The media keeps regurgitating the exact same strategy, and it's the old banging your head on the desk and wondering why your head hurts, okay? They cannot change. It is impossible. I'm going to prove it to you right now. Big, fat, juicy hat tip to the Media Research Center, kicking ass and taking names. Always, you got to follow them. Newsbusters, absolutely amazing group over there. Follow them on X, Facebook, and elsewhere. They put together this little 1-minute compilation proving to you the media cannot change. They will not change. They will continue to get wrecked because for them, what's old is new again. This constitutional crisis thing they're talking about right now with Donald Trump in his first 3 weeks as the president, you think any of this is new? For those of you listening on audio only, Apple and Spotify, what you're going to hear in the beginning is 2016, 2015, that election cycle. And then you're going to hear later 2020. And there's a crazy thing about what you're going to hear. It all sounds the same because it is. Check this out.
They are fomenting a constitutional crisis.
Yes. Are we staring down the barrel of a constitutional crisis?
This is an existential constitutional crisis.
We're now like one subway stop from a real constitutional crisis.
We are in effect, a constitutional crisis.
Warnings of an impending constitutional crisis ripped through the nation's capital.
There are experts who are saying this is a constitutional crisis.
We are at a dangerous time in our history, a constitutional crisis.
New warnings of a constitutional crisis just weeks into Trump's second term.
The stage is set for a constitutional crisis.
Could this signal the start of a constitutional crisis?
Legal experts say our country could be headed toward a constitutional crisis.
Why are we better than them at their own business and media? Because we lift and shift. We adopt. And I mean this as a positive. We're like Play-Doh. We adjust and adopt to pressure points. Not these idiots. They don't have it in them. They have this show your ass thing where they have to continue to show their ass to the American people, even though everyone's like, please stop. I don't want to see that. They can't. They're engaged in an extinction burst of behavior. They simply can't stop. Thank you to the guy who tweeted the Coke machine to me the other day. You get it. By the way, more FOing. Looks like it just happened. I can't even keep up. Thank you, guys. Look at these guys. They're so fast. RFK's now been confirmed. Tulsi last night. This is during the show. It's just an endless litany of FOing. It never, ever stops. You know, guys, I do it too. But if there was ever, oh my gosh. Put him up in the chat. Come on, get on it. Bongino Army. It's Karate Man up in the chat. You think we get Eddie Murphy sometime as a guest on the show, guys? You think he would do actual Karate Man? Jasmine, look into that. See if we can get Eddie Murphy in. See if he'll come in. Reach out. Tell him we've made a little Giphy about Karate Man. Maybe he'll come on the show. I doubt it, but I don't know if he does politics. Oh my gosh. That chat, you guys, my phone is actually smoking right now. Oh yeah, we can't forget Kylo Ren either. Can we do the Kylo Ren? Well, you know, we've been leaving poor Kylo behind. We haven't said that in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, now we got RFK, we got Trump, we got 3 weeks of the media pissing in their pants. It's time for more, always more. More is never enough. When enough is enough, it's not enough. When you think enough is enough, it's time for more. When you said I've had enough more, it's time for more. When you hit more, it's time for more. When it's more, you hit moreist. But Dan, that's not a word. It is a word in the Bongino Army. We just made it up. More, always more. Never less, always more. Keep them guessing. Rock 'em, sock 'em, baby. All the time. Never stop. And Guy can acknowledge, right, Guy? This sucker still is not broken? Amazing. I'm not even a crack in this rock 'em, sock 'em. Someone sent me a picture, a friend of mine last night, a text. Someone went out and bought a Rock'em Sock'em Robots and did the same thing, put the Trump face on it. And they said, can you send this picture to Dan Bongino? So that friend, I got the picture, pretty funny. One quick thing before this break, I want to play this too. This is, again, why we keep winning and we are the media now. Trump has hired the freaking Avengers. He's hired the X-Men. He's got RFK. He's got Tulsi. He's got Ratcliffe at CIA. He's got Ellis as the deputy at CIA. He's got Cash coming in at FBI. The more continues. It is not going to stop. He also has the best press secretary I've seen, and I can't believe it. She's even better than I thought, and I knew she was good. This constitutional crisis bullshit, you think she was going to let this go at the briefing yesterday? No, she wasn't. Check this out.
Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump.
I love my wife to death, and in the most platonic way possible. We love you, Carol. We all love you. We all love you. Justin, do you love her? She's amazing. He's in love. Very platonically. We don't want to be weird. We love you. This woman's amazing. You think she's going to let this constitutional crisis crap go? No, she's not. No. She's like the freaking Avengers press secretary. If Captain America had a press secretary, it looked like Caroline Leavitt. By the way, Liberty Josh gave a $50 tip in the chat. I'll say it again, but I know it doesn't matter. Thank you, Liberty Josh. Save your money, folks. I appreciate it. You're the best. If you want to give a tip, if it makes you feel good, it makes me feel good. However, we do not ever request tips on the show. I just want you to understand that. Thank you. We never do. We never. Yes, right. Send the check to Guy and they'll take it. I don't need it. I appreciate it. I do the show for you. I don't do it for the money. Money's nice, but you guys are great. Thank you, Liberty Josh. That was very generous of you. Appreciate it, but totally unnecessary. It was a big shocker in the briefing room yesterday, too. I kind of got some wind. It may happen from a friend of mine, not related to it, but I want to show you that. I got a lot more to get to. We've got to take a quick break. We'll get back to the show. And I just want you to remember the Trump theory, too, before we get to the next segment. Trump always asks the question, why are we doing this? A question never asked in government. That's what's confusing a lot of people. Folks, you ever have a cheat meal? I did the other day. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the Auburn basketball game, and once a month or so, I will just destroy myself with a cheat meal. I ate an entire pizza, no cheese. I'm grossly lactose intolerant by myself. Why the hell am I telling you that? Because honestly, I didn't feel bad about it. I got right on track the next day with my diet because I take Field of Greens. I take it twice a day. I've been taking it forever. You know, this company was one of my first sponsors because I love this company. It's called Brickhouse Nutrition. They make the highest quality nutritional supplements out there. Field of Greens is spectacular. What is it? It is ground. They have a doctor and a bunch of researchers. They figured out a fruit and vegetable combination where they could ground it up into a great tasting powder. And you basically can make your way around the supermarket, get the healthy, wholesome fruits and vegetables without having to cook everything. You just take a scoop, put it in your favorite drink. I put it in green tea. We put it whatever you want. Water, protein shakes, doesn't matter. I love the energy I get with Field of Greens, but I love the confidence that even if I have one of those cheat days, I can enjoy it guilt-free because my blood work is spectacular. And I already showed you what my doctor told me. He sent me a text saying, whatever you're doing with the Field of Greens, keep it going. Only Field of Greens makes you this better health promise. Your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back. Can't get a better deal than that. Let me get you started with my special discount, 20% off your first order. Just use code DAN at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Pick up Field of Greens. I like the wild berry. Lemon lime is great too. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use code Dan. All right, back to the show. Folks, I got a little emotional on the air. Didn't have to turn in my man card. There were no tears involved, but there could have been once in a while. Eyes get a little moist. Yesterday was a big day for me. You know, we've been involved in this free speech fight for a long time at Rumble. And the CEO of Rumble, you know him. He is a hero of mine. He really is. His name is Chris Pavlovsky. He's not a big media guy. He doesn't go out and do a ton of media appearances or anything like that. He's a quiet, unassuming, behind-the-scenes guy. But when you look up what Rumble did in countries overseas, when they said to Rumble, I demand you censor this guy, you know what Chris said? Not on our, we're pulling out of your entire country. You're pulling out of an entire country to defend one creator, and you know what Chris said? We are. Because if we're going to stand for free speech, that one creator is every creator. I want you to understand who this guy is. He doesn't go out and shout from the rafters how great he is. He doesn't pound the table all the time. And he's a guy who frequently gets overlooked. And I'm telling you this for a freaking fact that I'm an investor in his company has nothing to do with it at all. This guy is a hero to free speech. Who cares, Dan? Why are you bringing this up today? Because the Trump White House is loyal, and they are loyal to people who stood with them. When Donald Trump was deplatformed everywhere because of fake bullshit charges, they wiped him out, folks. Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. There was one person who stood with him and got massive pressure, and that was Chris at Rumble. And this happened yesterday. You see the White House, a new media seat. There's our man, Chris, walking in. He got to ask the first question yesterday, which was, of course, about censorship, and Caroline Levitt knocked it out of the park. Play that again. Look at it. Give me a little still there. Look at that guy. He's a good man, folks. Do me a favor. Go find him on X, True Social, Chris Pavlovsky from Rumble, and give him a follow. Good for you, Chris. He doesn't go bragging about what he did, but I want you to remember that. When everybody censored Donald Trump, that guy right there said, not on my watch. You're going to speak on our channel, and we're going to stand by you. God bless you, brother. I want you to remember something. Donald Trump does something no politician I've ever seen. I'm not telling you he doesn't exist, and I'm talking globally, by the way. He may. I just don't know him or her. No politician I know has ever done what Donald Trump does, which is ask a very simple question. Hey, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I ran into a guy a long time ago when I was running for office. He was a county executive in Howard County. This guy, Chuck, nice guy. I think he passed. But he told me something once that was very powerful about government. He said, don't ever forget with government that there's no power in yes. If you tell people yes, they have no reason to bribe you. You get the point? You want to tell people no, that way they come to the table with, campaign funds to basically bribe you to getting to yes. Government will always grow because there's no power in telling people yes. You want to tell people no. So that government grows and bureaucracies grow because there's power in it. Donald Trump is the first guy in eons, the first guy in a long time to say to people, wait, why the hell are we doing this? I could give you 100 examples. Gaza, the Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Remember with the Abraham Accords? They told them, you can't get any peace deal in the Middle East, any kind of economic accords between these two countries. You can't solve the Palestinian issue. He said, I'm just going to try anyway. And it was crazy. He actually did it. This is important because he's doing it again. And he's doing it through his deputies in the cabinet, one of them being our now excellent defense secretary, Secretary Pete Hegseth. Pete's overseas right now, and Pete is shaken up. And I mean, if there's an apple cart, this guy's tossing it over. He's like, hey, NATO, which is, of course, is our alliance with other countries designed to defend against the prior Soviet Union and Warsaw Pact. He's saying with NATO, I think it's grossly unfair that the United States is paying all of this money to defend you guys when you guys are the ones at risk from a Russian invasion like Ukraine, and you're not paying as much yourself. You're looking at it. That makes sense. No one said it before Trump. Here's Pete saying, you know what? 2% of GDP for defense, that's not enough. We want 5%. You're damn right we do. And the world is losing their minds. I'll show you what I mean coming up next, but check this out first.
Part of this is speaking frankly with your people about how this threat can only be met by spending more on defense. 2% is not enough. President Trump has called for 5%, and I agree. Increasing your commitment to your own security is a down payment for the future, a down payment, as you said, Mr. Secretary, of peace through strength. We're also here today to directly and unambiguously express that stark strategic realities prevent the United States of America from being primarily focused on the security of Europe.
To all the people who lost their minds over this, again, in the quote from Axios, hyperventilating media, oh my gosh, this is crazy. We're not defending NATO. NATO's not defending NATO. What are you talking about? The United States is not the world's policeman on the corner. We're not. I'm sorry. There's a whole rest of the globe out there that's very wealthy. God bless Secretary Hegseth and Donald Trump. Notice what they're going towards here, what Pete just alluded to. The United States is focused on defending the United States, quote, not primarily focused on Europe. Why is this a surprise to Europe? We may help you, we may not, but we're not your military. We're the United States military. Doesn't mean you're the enemy. Why did I play that cut? I read something in the Wall Street Journal the other day. Folks, please stop what you're doing and pay attention to this. Because if you are one of those old school Republicans, you're welcome here, by the way. We have a lot of different diverse views. But if you're one of those old national security hawk Republicans, that's fine. We're saying, like, we need to support NATO even if NATO doesn't support themselves. Did you read this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that should have been on the front page of every newspaper? Because it shook me to my soul that this guy would have the balls to write this. Here's Anders Fogh Rasmussen, a very influential international diplomat, NATO, Denmark, everything, right? He writes this article called "The World's Policeman," referring to us, goes rogue. So I see this headline. I'm like, really? Listen to this shit. He's talking about the European Union. He's like, we must build a coalition of willing European countries that are prepared to provide a robust European defense. Okay, wow, great. Look at that. We should strengthen the European Union's security dimension, move to majority voting to prevent pro-Russia members from vetoing security measures, and sign a security agreement between the EU and UK as soon as possible to protect ourselves and our shared critical infrastructure. You're probably like, wow, Dan, that sounds great. You know who he's talking about defending himself against? Us. The world's policeman goes rogue. He's referring to us. Now, you're probably thinking in the chat, so Russia invades Ukraine. NATO does very little, not all, but a lot of countries did nothing to defend actual NATO. Donald Trump's like, I need NATO to defend NATO. And the NATO countries in the EU, you're like, now we need to defend against the United States? You're like, is this like crazy pills territory? Read the whole piece if you think I'm crazy and I'm in any way misreading this. Anders Fogh Rasmussen. Hey, man, you're toying with the wrong people. This is the biggest MAGA show out there. What goes here goes right through, ripples through the MAGA sphere. You don't want to defend yourselves when the Russians invade, but now you want to defend yourself and, quote, build up security measures because you're worried about defending yourself against the rogue United States. Is this even real? Oh, boy. You see how that apple cart, boom, and everybody's losing their mind? Here's a simple solution, Anders. If you want us to be a critical part of NATO and spend trillions of dollars defending you guys, then maybe you should spend the same amount of money, at least as a percentage of GDP, defending yourself. Just an idea, bro. Thank you. We should incorporate the left-wing euphemisms here. You need to pay your fair share. Definitely need to pay your fair share. I like that. That's creative, Justin. You're good at this. We have to give you your own show. The Justin, what do you say? Belial? What is it? Is that like French or something? You get him his own show. What do you think? A Justin show? We'll start on the weekend. He'll start covering Star Wars and stuff first. He loves it. Him and Guy. They can talk all they want about the Millennium Falcon and the mechanics of light speed. They love that stuff. They're actually starting to convince me Rogue One's a good movie, which I never thought I'd say, but I'd say they may not be wrong. I got a couple breaks here I got to take just quickly here, last break. But I want to get to this next. Folks, we're living in a post-truth world. And that's why spreadsheets Donald Trump hurts them. What spreadsheets Donald Trump? Donald Trump asks questions all the time, like he does about NATO, Gaza, the Abraham Accords. Why are we doing this? It doesn't work. That may sound simple to you. It's not. Politicians and media people are not used to that. That's why we're in this post-truth world. And I'll show you what I mean coming up in a minute with this Adam Schiff segment that is so hard to believe. It's hard to believe this segment actually happened. Folks, it's said that 4 companies control over 80% of the meat industry, and reports say China now controls the largest portion of U.S. pork. These companies are using tactics to crush American family farms with the additives they're putting into our food, and Americans are stuck with sketchy meat. So what can we do about it? Here's a company that comes out swinging on behalf of American family farms and food security. Moink, M-O-I-N-K. They sent me a good sample of their meats. Absolutely incredible. We fell in love right away. Said, come on board, guys. We'd love to have you. Moink's meat comes from animals raised outdoors. They deliver meat straight to your doorsteps at prices you can actually afford. Born, raised, and harvested right here in the USA. They sent me the product. We absolutely loved it. We've been eating the product 3 out of 5 nights of the week, and the other 2 were just out on the road. That's why it's amazing. It makes a difference in the meals for my family. Support American family farms. Join the Moink movement today at moinkbox.com/Bongino right now and get free wings for life. That's right. The best wings you'll ever taste for free, but for a limited time. Spelled M-O-I-N-K. Moinkbox.com/Bongino. That's moinkbox.com/Bongino. Check them out. And our last sponsor, we get back to the show. Beam. You want a good night's sleep? Let me introduce you to another one of their great products, Beam Dream Capsules. The Dream Capsules contain the same ingredients I've been telling you about to get a good quality, restful night's sleep. Beam is proudly founded in America, run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's science-backed nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep so you wake up refreshed and ready to bounce into the show like I do every day. Dream is made with a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, epigenin, and melatonin. Beam's helped improve over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel great. Here's the deal. Beam is giving you, the listeners, the ultimate Patriot discount of 47% off. Why not 45? Because they wanted 47. You get it? Try their best-selling Dream Capsules and get up to 47% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 47% off. Support patriotic American company. Get a good night's sleep. Thank you, Beam. Back to the show. So Donald Trump's a spreadsheets guy, folks. He asks these crazy questions like, why are we doing that? That doesn't seem to make sense. And the government's like, because that's the way we've always done it. But that way sucks. I remember my last job. I was like, why do we do these protest zone things? Because that's the way we've always done it. And some judge was like, hey, that's unconstitutional. Okay, we're not going to do it that way. Why does the government do it the way it's always done it? Because the government has no incentive to change anything ever because it's not their money and they're not even buying anything for themselves. Trump's not having any of that. Contrast Trump's brutal honesty in his spreadsheet style with his opponents here, who not only are not +1, -1 spreadsheets, why are we doing that, guys, but keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again, like trotting out morons like Adam Schiff, who has zero credibility whatsoever. Here is Adam Schiff on MSNBC in a segment, folks, that is honestly hard to believe, and I mean it. Here he is, Adam Schiff, who was on the Intel committee promoting lies about Russia collusion and Hunter Biden laptops forever, commenting on Tulsi Gabbard running the DNI office. And he comments that she's not qualified because she wasn't on the Intel committee and talked about Russian biolabs. This is real. This actually happened. Check this out.
You spoke tonight on the Senate floor in opposition to her confirmation. You called it dangerous and a 5-alarm fire. What do you think the American people should know about her as a nominee as we're heading toward that final vote tomorrow?
Well, first, I think it's important, as with all these nominees, to just level set. Normally, if you're talking about someone who's going to head an agency, let alone in this case, all of the intelligence agencies, you would expect a nominee to have some experience, maybe having worked for an intelligence agency, maybe having led an intelligence agency, or even at a minimum served on a relevant committee like the Intelligence Committee of Congress. Tulsi Gabbard has none of that experience. Zero, nada, zilcho. That would normally, in a normal world, be disqualifying. But she goes far beyond that. She has echoed Kremlin talking points about the origin of the war against Ukraine. She's pushed out Russian propaganda about U.S. biolabs in Ukraine.
This is, I want you to understand why I had to put this in the show. Because I do these shows and I structure them this way for a reason. I love foils and contrasts. So you've got hard truth spreadsheets Donald Trump, right? Where he'll speak the truth to you and some people don't even want to hear it, i.e. Arab world partners in the Middle East. Hey, fix Gaza or daddy's coming in to fix it. What are you talking about? We've been working on it for 50 years. Exactly, that's the problem. That's Donald Trump. The truth to the point where it hurts people. I mean, hurts the liberal, like emotionally hurt. They can't take they don't want the truth. They hyperventilate, they lose their minds. They don't want to be told other countries are ripping us off with tariffs. They're not interested. Contrast that with Adam Schiff and Rachel Maddow. This is a major cable news show. It's amazing people still watch it. Adam Schiff is talking about how Tulsi's unqualified because she's not on the Intel committee. I want to note that Adam Schiff was on the Intel committee when he went on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox and said this about a 20 times debunked absurd Russian collusion PP hoax and had no problem at all lying to the American people. Contrast that with hard truth Donald Trump. Check this out.
You don't know that
Tucker,
the government.
I
think it's really irresponsible for you to say you know that the Putin government.
You know what is irresponsible, Tucker, for you to make that claim without looking at the evidence, and more importantly,
you can't say that you know the Putin government.
More importantly, for the president-elect today. To say that he doesn't know whether the Russians. You're
on the Intel committee. Let me just ask you one final question. Can you look right into the camera and say, "I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email"?
Absolutely, the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information
of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not. You know what? You're dodging.
And Tucker,
no, look and say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails. They hacked those.
And I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over his grave at your carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian television because
you know what?
This
That's
is perfect.
Just so
this is perfectly
beneath your
placed.
office because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous.
This is why you really need to embrace being part of this MAGA army and be proud of it. Big group hugs. You live in the actual realpolitik world where, yes, it hurts to hear some of this stuff. It hurts to hear that NATO doesn't want to defend itself but wants us to defend NATO. It hurts to hear other countries have been ripping us off. Well, nobody's happy about that, but it's real and we've got to fix it. It hurts to hear that the regional partners have done squat for Gaza in 50 years. But at least you live in reality. Do you believe these dipshits? You realize he looked in the camera on Tucker Carlson and on the Tucker Carlson show and totally made up and fabricated a story that he had evidence about Podesta's email being hacked by the Russians? He just made it up. But he said something else in that other Maddow clip. He said that Tulsi's not only not qualified because she was on the Intel committee. By the way, didn't he get... What happened with him on the Intel committee? Wasn't there an article I had in a show about that at Axios or something? At McCarthy? Oh, he got kicked off the Intel... That's... Justin, you're messing up my whole show. So weird. He didn't get kicked off. Breaking. Yeah, breaking. As of 2023. So he says, Tulsi's not qualified because she wasn't on the Intel committee. And she keeps talking about this conspiracy theory about biolabs in Ukraine. Right? Really? Conspiracy theory? You mean this one where Obama, Biden, Clinton, Easter, Victoria Nuland was up on Capitol Hill under oath talking about biolabs in Ukraine? No. I thought it was a conspiracy theory or something. Maybe you should ask Victoria Nuland. Check this out.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
Come on, guys in the chat, get it together. Adam Schiff said that's a conspiracy theory. It's so weird. Isn't she under oath? They swear in, don't they? That's Obama, Clinton, Easter, Biden official Victoria Nuland talking about the weapons lab in Ukraine. But yes, Tulsi's definitely not qualified for talking about weapons, biolabs, whatever in Ukraine. Kicked off the Intel. How the hell do you get kicked off the Intel committee? Well, we know why Swalwell. Swalwell was sharing hard data with Fang Fang, and it was hard. Yeah. It was hard that, but it's a lot of data. Gigabytes of data. But Schiff got kicked off. I wonder why that is. You know how rare that is to kick people off committee? You know how much you have to suck? If there was a 1 through 1,000 suck meter, you're seriously like 998. Like you're like right at the top. Folks, they live in a post-truth world. I mean what I'm saying. Like I mean it in the actual literal sense. Like nothing they say is in any way attached to the truth, but the far left, communist left embraces this. They enjoy it. It's like the strangest thing. It's like the Truman Show, but you know, that Jim Carrey movie where everybody's acting around them? But like, it's like the Truman Show where Truman knows it's an act. And they keep doing it. Here's another one. Miranda Devine. She has the book Laptop from Hell. Our publishing company, Disclosure, published the book. But Miranda Devine was stunned by this the other day. The New York Times, even for them, this is incredible. She said, the New York Times, put the other tweet first, actually, the one I quote tweeted. Do you have that? There was another tweet that she had. Basically, here. Miranda Devine. The New York Times writes this story and says, incredibly, which even for the New York Times, this has to be like at the basement of stupidity. They say that without evidence that the New York Times is still in denial about the laptop from hell, that there's basically no evidence there was political influence to say this laptop was Russian. So Miranda Devine's like, really? Without evidence? Like, here's actual evidence. Like, this is what they live in a post-truth world. Here's Mike Morrell, the former CIA acting director, to John Brennan, Obama's CIA director, ask him to sign the letter claiming Hunter Biden's laptop information was Russian in order to, quote, give the Biden campaign a talking point to push back on Trump. You can read the email, bro. Why does nobody trust the New York Times? Why are we the media now? Because this isn't hard, folks. Look at the article. German Lopez and Lina Bentahar. Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you a little bit embarrassed? I mean, seriously, do your parents tell people they have no kids? I mean, you wrote this? She also claimed without evidence, talking about Tulsi Gabbard, that the Intelligence Committee undermined reports about Hunter. What? Did you read the email? Folks, the Democrats will defend the media, every act of corruption, every lie, the post-truth world they live in, the Truman Show Act, because the entire ideology is based on a lie. The rich don't pay their fair share. Conservatives are Nazi racist. Voting laws are Jim Crow. School choice is anti-American and waste money. Nothing they tell you is true. Tax cuts cost the government revenue. Some imbecile on Twitter this morning got in it with one of my followers. Dan Bongino has no evidence tax cuts have increased government revenue. I've never said they're causal. I do have evidence that's true. It's called evidence from the U.S. Treasury. You could look it up, but you're too stupid to do that. The Democrats defend corruption, are defending the government waste the Doge is exposing, because the Democrats don't care about where the money goes. Yes, they obviously profit from it. Putting that part aside, point stipulated. I mean, again, I wrote Follow the Money to show you how Democrats profit from government. But I want you to follow me here. This is a really important point, and it got lost a little bit in the show. I sensed when I tweeted something out, some people got a little confused. The Democrats do profit from government corruption through their NGOs and sometimes directly. And this kind of informal money laundering system they have, give it NGOs, pay Democrat lawmakers, donate. But even then, if you were profiting, imagine it's your business. You don't want fraud in your own business, right? Because it's less money for you, correct? The point I was trying to get at yesterday is you would think even Democrats that profit from big government would be interested in weeding out fraud. Is this point making sense, Justin? Because it's more money for them. So people are asking me, well, why don't they care about the fraud? Because, folks, all they care about is control of the money. The government has to control your money no matter what. And they know they can't do it because the government can't even paint the color by numbers book. So they understand that if the fraud starts getting pointed out, it's over. Can you go to the LexisNexis guy first before Mike Lee? I want to get to that. But I want you to show you what I mean here. This LexisNexis CEO is up on Capitol Hill yesterday and shocked the entire world. They asked him, how much fraud do you think is in government payments? Dead people, double payments, companies that don't exist. Folks, the number he gives is staggering. The Democrats don't want you to see this because then you're going to say, why am I letting government control money? They can't figure this thing out. That's why. Watch this.
How much money do you calculate is wasted due to waste, fraud, and abuse in the entitlement programs each year?
Yeah. My number right now between federal, state, and local government is you can save $1 trillion a year by simply putting in front-end identity verification, eliminating self-certification, and monitoring the back end of the programs that are providing the benefits. Those three things.
Did he just say $1 trillion? Our entire tax base is about $4 trillion. We spend about $6-7 trillion. You're telling me our tax base be $5 trillion, excuse me. This is how big the numbers are. You're telling me about 20% of the government are totally, completely fraudulent payments? They will defend this. Because the minute you start to see how bad the problem is, you're going to fire the bookkeeper, which is the government. And they don't want that. So they'd rather get paid a little less and keep the corrupt bookkeeper than get paid a little more and expose to you the bookkeeper's corrupt. Does that make sense? I want to get to this too, because this is just stunning how the Democrats have just married themselves to this post-truth world of lies and corruption, and they think nobody's going to see through it. Senator Mike Lee, great senator, one of the best, maybe the best. Senator Mike Lee's up on Capitol Hill, and not an overly emotional guy. And Senator Lee yesterday was talking about, hey, when Kash Patel gets in there, we're going to damn well need some accountability at the FBI, too. We got the Moms for Liberty, the targeting of MAGA people, the January 6th stuff, everything that went on at the FBI has become a real problem and put a bruise on the FBI's eyeballs, right? It's time to clean this place up. So Mike Lee is talking here specifically about getting rid of evidence where they can, getting rid of agents where they can find they acted either corruptly or outside of their duties or responsibilities. He's not talking about political retribution at all. Listen to what he says and watch the crazy response from Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, because they don't want you looking into corruption, no matter what. So they try to distract you with shiny red object stuff. Watch this.
To say that people in those agencies, and again, it's not all of them, but it's certainly some of them, and there will be an effort to figure out who was a bad actor and who was not. To say that we're going to protect all of them and protect any of them from being fired, even if they engaged in some of these dastardly acts. This is offensive, and our constituents, those who elected us, would be really upset with us with darn good reason if we supported this. I urge my colleagues to oppose it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd simply say, as a member who was here on January 6th, when the Capitol Police and FBI defended virtually all of us, to somehow say that protecting them would be an insult, I find remarkable.
Mr. Chairman, that is not at all what I said. And I want to be very clear for the purposes of the record that in no way, shape, or form is that what I said. I made no reference to any of the people who are protecting us. I'm talking about those people. They know who they are. The Trump administration at some point will figure out who they are. I'm talking about those people who engaged in politically weaponized, indefensible acts. We should not immunize them. Not on my watch, not on our watch. I oppose it.
Amen, Brother Mike. You see how Mark Warner, who's not a stupid guy, Democrat hack senator from Virginia, has to distract you from the argument in their Truman Show post-truth world? Mike Lee is talking about evidence of hardcore corruption within the FBI. And what does he talk about? Well, the people who protect us. That's not at all what he said. At all. Contrast that with Spreadsheets Trump. They did something wrong. Why do they still work here? Got to go. See ya. But people are going to say you're throwing grandma off a cliff. I really don't care. We live in a truth realpolitik world. Folks, I told you to. I'm going to end today as I started. This is important. Don't panic over the legal warfare. I wish we didn't have a politicized justice system and judicial court system. Trump's cleaning it up. It's going to take a long time. We're going to have to appoint a lot of constitutionalist judges, but it's not going to get fixed overnight. But we're not going to lose them all. Matter of fact, Trump is acting very surgically, testing the parameters of power to see what the left will sue about or not, and sometimes just going right down the middle of the field. This happened yesterday during the show. Another legal victory is Emily Campagno from Outnumbered. Check this out.
So clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they were allocated within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek preclearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it.
We are never, not this Bongino army and not this MAGA army, we are never going to hyperventilate like the media. The left sues. We're not going to sit here and melt down and freak out. We're not going to do any of that. I told you what was going to happen. We were going to win a lot of them. And this is just two. Turns out we can start to limit the spending of federal funds. Oh, look, now he's got the courts behind him too. Yes, you can fire some workers. We're not going to win them all. It's not the way it works in a republic. But we're going to win a lot. And a lot, when we're talking about this amount of fraud, is big change. Thank you to Competition in the chat. He says this hour goes by too fast. Thank you, Dan, for truth and receipts. No, don't thank me, guys and ladies, for anything. I mean it. I appreciate it, but this isn't a real job. There's no thanks. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing. Not a thank you, nothing. I owe you a good show. It's a one-way street. I appreciate the kind words.